Ever say to yourself, that game was damn near perfect, but yes, there's always a but. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 worst final bosses in great games.
Your compassion for mankind is misplaced.
I'm not doing this for mankind.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at the most disappointing boss encounters at the end of otherwise amazing games. Whether they lack inspiration and imagination, are easily defeated, or are just plain old boring to square off against, these are the final bosses that made us wish we could have just went straight to the end credits.
This thing is an abomination. Edie, how do we destroy it?
Number 10. Hoyt, Far Cry 3.
Do you know the real secret to keeping employees happy? Fear.
We start this list off with a real head-scratcher. Why is Hoyt the final boss in this game when it already has one of the best, most sinister bad guys in gaming history in Vas Montenegro? Please give us an answer. Vas's definition of insanity cutscene still gives us the chills nearly 6 years later, and gives us a bit of trepidation when thinking of replaying this game again. He's one evil dude.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Hoyt, on the other hand, comes out of nowhere dressed in a nice suit and is dispatched largely through QuickTime events. We prefer Vas, thank you very much. Number 9. The Black Hand of Sauron, Middleearth, Shadow of Mordor.
Now I give you no choice. We shall be sealed together in death.
Yet another final boss that's done away with using QuickTime events. This one is especially disappointing, however, considering all the incredibly cool and novel enemy encounters due to the game's excellent nemesis system.
I've got towers to topple. You're hardly worth my time.
There are plenty of regular battles with high-ranking Uruk in this game that had more tension and excitement than the final battle against the Black Hand. Luckily, after he's defeated, we can hop right back into gameplay and do battle with more rival baddies en route to creating even more enemy adversaries. Heck, even retreating from enemies is more fun than battling the Black Hand thanks to the Nemesis system.
The Black Hand of Sauron is dead. The Hither Shore is calling us.
Number 8. Yevon, Final Fantasy X. So, let's get this straight. An immortal being that tormented Spira for centuries as the creator of sin appears in the final battle as a tick? Strike 1. And for some reason, all members of our party have auto health, so basically this final encounter is one we cannot lose, and strike 2. Final Fantasy X is an epic adventure, but we wish that the battle against Braska's final Aeon was the final boss, though many consider it to be just that instead of Yevon. There's just something lacking in a game where the final encounter is one that's ultimately already decided. Number 7. The Destroyer, Borderlands. All that talk of vaults and treasure only to end up doing battle with a generic blob with an even more generic name. Yes, the lead up to the final battle with the Destroyer is magical in Borderlands due to gun customization and a great sense of humor, but the final battle itself leaves much to be desired. The Destroyer is basically just a giant immovable target that requires endless amounts of ammunition pumped into him with little to no creativity whatsoever. Our advice is to tackle the baddie with a friend who can penetrate his shield, so it's not so time-consuming and frustrating. Number 6. Colonel Augustus Autumn, Fallout 3.
Concentrate your fire.
For a long-awaited battle with the diabolical man who killed your father, we'd expect it to last just a little longer and offer a challenge. But by the time we reach Colonel Augustus Autumn in Fallout 3, we're so overpowered that this final boss is almost laughable. Sure, there are final bosses that are too hard and too much of a challenge, which makes them a poor note to end the game on, but in all honesty, we'd prefer that to a final baddie who's just way too easy. Give the guy some armor or superpowers or something. Number 5. The Human Reaper, Mass Effect 2.
This Reaper appears to be in a very early stage of development. An embryo in human terms.
This game won many awards upon its release in 2010, including Best RPG and Best Xbox 360 Game at the Spike Video Game Awards, with many people considering it to be a damn near perfect game. But critics and fans alike were not impressed with the final boss encounter with this giant human-robot hybrid thingy that looks like something out of the Terminator.
They're building it to look like a human. Why?
It appears that a Reaper's shape is based upon the species used to create it.
For all the grand mythology in this game, we expected something a little more unique and space-agey, and not something that looks like it's out of an early 90s arcade shooter. Number 4. Alduin, The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. Oh, how we love Skyrim. The first-person exploration, the cave-dwelling battles with evildoers, and the amazing storyline are some of the finest moments in gaming. But the final encounter with Alduin is pathetically easy and anticlimactic, seeing as you have a swarm of NPCs accompanying you. We prefer the first battle against the giant dragon as it's much harder, and Alduin seems like a genuine threat. The fact that we had to face him again had us worried, but ultimately, it was a bit of a letdown as there are much harder and more interesting battles to be found in the game's open environments. Number 3. Bowser, Super Mario Galaxy 2. We've squared off against the big bad Bowser so many times now that we need something unique and special to take place in order for it to stay exciting. Unfortunately, that didn't happen in Super Mario Galaxy 2, as Bowser is far too easy to hold any clout as a final boss. Despite being big in size, he's really just one more enemy to stomp on before the final credits roll. But at least the triumphant music and neat presentation were pretty cool, right? We could listen to this all day. Number 2. Frank Fontaine, BioShock. Another example of a nearly perfect game held back by its final boss battle. After a very creepy, intriguing game, Frank Fontaine feels weirdly out of place. Almost like the developers just wanted a big hulking boss fight for the sake of a big hulking boss fight. And unfortunately, defeating him is a complete bore, as it's basically a rinse and repeat formula of dodging attacks and draining his life bar. We were hoping for something much more imaginative and unique. To be honest, we had more fun whacking around Andrew Ryan with his own cane, but that's just us. Number 1. The Joker, Batman: Arkham Asylum. We're still wondering how this final boss fight got so messed up. We were given an amazing Batman game in Arkham Asylum and our favorite villain in Joker to boot, but then they go and turn him into some weird Bane-like ripoff. Why not just fight, Bane?
Excuse me, Bats! In you come, boys!
And beating him wasn't that much fun either, as the swarms of regular enemies were much harder than anything the Joker put forth in this battle. The Clown Prince is such an intelligent and cunning enemy that it was disappointing to see him downgraded to just a hulking beast.
I can take it. I can take anything you throw at me, Bats.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.